Howdy folks, welcome back to another episode of Super Hamster Plays Kingdom Death Monster. As ever, do me a favour, hit the thumbs up button on this video, and if you're new to the channel as well, don't forget to subscribe. So in previous episodes we've done an unboxing video, two unboxing videos. I've done an assembly guide for the 4 starting characters and the starting monster, and then I did a painting guide for the same 5 models. So we are now ready to play. A couple of key things for housekeeping. Ignore all these cards over here, they're for endgame stuff. I just put them there because the box isn't easy to reach. My studio is quite cramped. But yeah, we can ignore those for now. This deck over here actually continues a lot further, but I'm hoping we won't need those spaces, and if we do, we'll adjust it. And you can't quite see it. This deck just here is the monster's AI deck, and the deck itself comes with about 16-17 cards for the lion, but for this scenario you're told to take a specific set of them out. So that's exactly what I've done. There are 8 cards in that deck. This one is the entire hit location deck, but again, with the starting scenario, it tells you to put a specific card on the top of both of those. Down here we have the player mats, the inventory, which has got the 3 grids of 3, and there should also be cloth armor on one of these. But all of the characters are equipped with the same equipment. They all have a founding stone, they all have cloth armor. Cloth armor just gives you 1 point of armor on the waist, so it's only taking up space, so I thought I'd get rid of that. And it doesn't matter where in the location you place it, so this one I'm just putting off to one side because it's got a guide down the side of sort of basic actions and turn order and so forth, so that's just there to help me. But ordinarily everybody would have one of those with 2 cards on it, 1 for the stone and 1 for cloth armor. I'll show you a picture of those in a minute. These 4 things down here are the character cards. I've separated them out. I've already gone ahead and made them up. I've named the 4 characters. We have Myth, we have Esmeralda, we have Meninga, and we have Bola. Just a bunch of random names. You might recognise Myth and Meninga. Male, female, male, female. They start with 1 survival point as soon as you give them a name. So we've done that. And the only other stat that changes is their armour on their waist, which you can't quite see, but is this box down here. I'll do a close-up one, but that's from the cloth armour. All this stuff over here isn't used until you get the campaign rolling, so to save a bit of space on the table, I've just overlapped them like this, and on each one I've put a founding stone because it is possible to lose this item. So each one has a small card on there basically as a reminder. You have a monster controller, which will be one of the 4 players and moves around. We'll start with Myth. The starting scenario tells you where to set the line up, dead center, and all of the characters can be set up anywhere that is exactly 5 spaces away, orthogonally only, no diagonals in this game. And the first person to get a turn is the monster, because the game hates you. So I've got these 5 black dice down here. I think they show up pretty well. The game also comes with a white one with black writing and a red one with white writing. But it doesn't show up quite so well in the video, so I'm just going to be using the black dice, but they're all the same. They're just D10s, and the 10 is replaced with the lantern symbol, which we know from the unboxing video, and these are the 6 hit location dice. So, bit of housekeeping. Everything else has been set up as per the instructions in the book, which are really clear. They literally go, take this card, shuffle it, take this deck, take this one out, put this one in, so on, so on. Put a tick here, do that. So everything there is good to go. So first things first, we'll get started on the lion's turn. One thing I will note, this is absolutely the first time I've played the game, so I might get a few things wrong, and if I get stuck, I will pause the video, have a quick read through the rules, and then bring you back. So it may not be one continuous loop, but we'll see how things go. So first things first. Oh, and there's also this card over here, which sits on the monster's basic action deck. On this side, it tells you the stats and what's called an instinct, which may kick in at some point. And over this side, it's got its basic actions, which basically means if I draw a card that it can't do for any reason, because the AI cards control the monster. So, for example, if I were managed to smash the the lion's jaw, it wouldn't be able to do bite attack. So if I draw a card that says bite, it can't do that. So you refer to the basic action instead. But that's just there as a little reference card. But to save me going over when I start using it, I might just bring it down here where I can see. But yeah. So yeah, Myth has been assigned the role of the monster controller, which if we were playing with multiple players would basically mean anytime the monster controller has to make a decision as to which of two targets to attack and so forth, Myth makes that decision. And that moves each turn. I think there's some other times when the monster controller comes in. For example, if the player targets their own survivor, they gain a point of insanity. And that sounds bad, but insanity in this game is the more insane you are, the less horrific things affect you. So it's kind of like armor for going mad. So you can go a little bit insane, but you don't want to go completely off the deep end. From a technical point of view, the camera's back, and I've put it back into autofocus. So you might find that it does some weird stuff every now and again where it tries to focus on my hands and not the board, and then it'll wiggle in and out, but that can't be helped. But yeah, so let's get going. Oh, and I don't know if you can stand out, but on the character cards I've drawn little sketches, and that's just to remind me which is my character, because I'm having to remember all four. So this one's a little stick figure holding a lantern down and a stone up, which funnily enough looks a lot like this guy. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Esmeralda is a little person in that rough shape. Meninga is an upright guy, and Vola is the one sort of crouched over holding her lantern outstretched. So it's just a little thing to remind me which of the characters is mine. If you're playing with multiple players, you can probably remember which is yours. So it's just in case I get things wrong. Hopefully I won't need it. So, step 1, Lion's turn. Draw the top AI deck, which, surprise, surprise, is Claw. Because as I said earlier, the starting scenario tells you to use that as the first card of the game. Just to give you the anatomy of the card, up here there's a B. The AI deck is filled with basic actions, advanced actions, and legendary actions, and depending on the difficulty level of your current monster will dictate how many basic, how many legendary, and how many advanced actions make up its deck, but it's random, so you won't have the same ones. But in this case, it's preloaded, effectively, being just the tutorial. Right, so the first thing I have to do is pick the target, which is the closest target in the facing. The facing for the monster, if I recall, is a triangle out this way, out the front, which I'll highlight on the board. But essentially all three of these are potential targets. The only person that can't be targeted with this one would be Myth. If there was nobody in there, you would then move on to the closest target in its field of view, which in the case of the lion is 360 degrees except these two spaces here, which are a blind spot. And if it had no target, for whatever reason, characters who are knocked down, characters who are dead and so forth don't count as targets. It would perform a sniff. So if it killed everybody and the last two were hiding in here, it would perform its sniff action, which is on the back of the AI deck, or the basic action card rather. So I'm, for the sake of argument, going to pick Vola. Esmeralda, Vola. Let's go with Vola. Because if I go for somebody on the edge, then they're not going to be able to get in close enough to fight. So the game's going to punish you enough. If you get an option, take the easy one, is the advice I've been given online. So here's our target, Vola. Actually, just to stop myself from being confused, I'm going to swap Meninga and Vola around so that they're currently in the order they're in. So that's the target. Lion has a basic speed, according to this card, a movement of 6 and a toughness of 6. What that means is it can move up to 6 spaces in orthogonal directions. Again, no diagonals. And a toughness of 6 basically means on a standard attack you need to roll a 6 or higher on the d10 to hurt it. So nice and easy to remember, 6 and 6. So we will go 1, 2, 3, 4. And now they're in base-to-base contact. So it's moved, and it will attack the target. It has a speed of 2. The speed is the number of dice it rolls, so it's basically the number of attacks that it has. And its accuracy is what it needs to roll, and in this case, it's a 2+. Things are not looking good for Vola. So let's see how this goes. To 6 and a 3, both hits, both doing 1 point of damage. That's the damage on the attack. So I now need 2 hit locations. So roll a dice for each. That's 1 on the waist and 1 on, ooh, what's that symbol? That would be the body. So she has a point of armor on the waist. So we'll take that one first, which means Vola's armor is reduced to 0. So all I've done on the sheet, just crossed it out to a 0. And that blocks that one. So she's now running around naked. Well, that's probably not the worst thing that's going to happen to her today. And the 1 point on the chest, consulting her armor, her chest, or her body rather, has no armor, so she takes a wound. So we fill in the light wound. So it could have been worse, could have been better. And that, I think, is the lion's turn. So it's now the survivor's turn. We've got 4 survivors. The 4 survivors can act in whatever order they like each turn. So it's not set. But each character has to finish its activation before moving on to the others. So in an activation, they can move and they can act. Or they can act and then they can move. But you can't move a little bit, act, and then move a bit more. And I can't act with Vola, then move and act with somebody else, and then move Vola afterwards. So it's got to finish her actions first. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm actually going to activate Meninga here. And I'm going to spend his movement first, and all survivors start with a base speed of 5. As I understand, this can go up and down, and there is a space here on your character sheet that's pre-filled in as 5. So he can move 5 spaces. So Meninga, being the coward that he is, will probably just run away. No, I'm only joking. I'm only joking, Meninga. 1, 2, 3. And I'm coming here for a reason. Because remember that blind spot we were talking about? If you attack a monster in its blind spot, you gain +1 to hit. Because you have what's called advantage. So Meninga is now, he's done with his movement, even though he had points left. And now he's going to attack with his founding stone. Now his founding stone, I will probably have a close-up shot here, but to spend his 1 activation, which is what that little lightning bolt symbol is, he'll have a speed of 2 attacks. They'll hit on a 7, but because he's got advantage, they'll hit on 6s, and if they get through, they will do a point of damage each. You also have a special rule where you can spend your entire activation throwing the stone from anywhere on the board to cause 1 automatic hit that also is critical, but you lose the stone doing it, so we're probably not going to do that for a while. If indeed we even have to. But yeah, Meninga, hitting with 6s, hit with a 9, and hit with a 10. The 10's really good for several reasons. One, a 1 is always a fail, and a 10 is always a success regardless of what roll you actually need as far as skill tests and things go. I mean, obviously when you're rolling random events on tables and things, you get what you get. But the 10 is always a hit. Also, a 10 will be a critical wound if it comes up. So let's see where he's got. He's hit twice, so we draw 2 cards from the hit location. So we hit the Strange Hand, instinctively striking back the white lion. The white lion's oddly human hand darts forward. Perform a basic attack. Perform a basic action. Target the attacker. So that's a failure result. So if we fail to wound him, that will kick in. So basically, if we try and hit his hand, but we don't hurt it, he'll slap us back with the same hand and hit us again. So we'll try that one. It also has a critical effect, which we're going to use that one on. And then we have a second hit location, which is its glorious mane, impervious. Impervious hit locations cannot be wounded. A wound or critical wound will not remove an AI or defeat the monster. But if we got a critical hit, we would gain the Shimmering Mane resource card. If the attacker is insane, the sheer frustration grants them a +1 strength token. +1 strength token is a temporary thing that lasts essentially for this fight. They just get a bit riled up. Whereas if it had given him +1 strength, that would be a permanent modifier. So basically, nothing's happened with that one. So we can put that in the discard pile and ignore that one. So he slapped him in the hair. But we've got this critical. Now the lion's toughness was 6, if you recall, which was from this deck over here. And the founding stone has a damage of 1, or a strength rather of 1. Monsters have damage, weapons have strength, which basically means you add it to it. So I normally need a 6, but I'm adding 1 to it, so I will in fact need a 5, which I've got. Now I am just going to check one more thing in the rules. I'm not sure if that critical affects the roll to wound, or so if I'm not sure if it's a critical wound or if it's a critical hit. And that might be quite important with this one, so I'll double check. Hello. Yes, critical wound, which I probably should have noticed because that's what it says on here. So it's not critical, so we don't get the critical effect, but we do. It's not a failure, so he doesn't get attacked back, and we do inflict a wound, which means we take the top card off of the AI deck. We don't look at it, and it's discarded. It goes over here into the wound stack. The claw is the attack we did earlier, so that should be there. And the Strange Hand goes into the hit location discard deck. And that's Meninga's actions. So we've taken down 1/8 of this lion's health. And we might have taken away one of its more important attacks. We might have taken away one of its less important attacks. We don't know. So again, it's random. And it's unknown. But that's Meninga's action done. So we'll now go with Vola, who's stuck here at the front. And I'm thinking I'm going to attack and then I'm going to move away. So we'll do our attack first. Again, Founding Stone has a speed of 2, so we get 2 dice. We have an accuracy of 7. We don't have advantage because we're in the front, so we need 7s. That's a definite miss because it's a 1. 8. That was an 8. Hits. So we draw a hit location. The beast's brow. If we wound, the snarling, the monster swats at its attacker, suffer 1 brain damage, perform a basic action, target the attacker. So if we wound, it gets upset. So you can hit it in the head and it doesn't care, but if you hit it in the head hard enough, it gets ratty. So toughness of 6, we normally need a 6. Strength of 1 on the thing, on the Founding Stone. So we need a 5. We got it. So again, it's wounded. So we take the top card from the AI deck and discard. The attacker suffers 1 brain damage. So here's the brain damage. We fill in the box. Bad things have happened. And then perform a basic action, target the attacker. So the basic action is on here, and it is move and attack. Doesn't need to move, it's already there. So it just attacks back. 2 dice, hitting on 2s, causing 1 damage each. Just like the claw attack, basically. So 2 dice. Hitting a 9 and a 5, they both hit. 2 locations. That would be the waist, where her armor was but no longer is, and the hand. So she's got no armor to absorb those points of damage, so she's going to take 1 to the arms or the hand and 1 to the waist. She's a bit battered, but she's still going. And we didn't wound, so that one's irrelevant. And I'm going to leave that card just there, should I need it again. She's done her attacks, and she can move. So let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's get some distance between her because she's looking a little battered. So let's have Myth move up next. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's not close enough, but he's going to get in the way. So if he attack, or when the monster attacks again, it's going to look for whatever's in front of him, which is going to be Myth. So 1, 2, 3, 4. If I go there, I cannot attack because it'd be diagonal, and I wouldn't have advantage. But that's where we've got to. So Esmeralda is there. She's going to do her thing. Again, she's going to attack with her stone. 2 attacks, hitting on a 7. She doesn't have advantage. It's still a 7. 1 miss, 1 hit. Hit location. The ear. The beast's ear. So if we fail, the beast will jump back without turning, move the monster 1 space directly away from the attacker, cancel any unresolved hits now out of range. So when you do these, you need to do them in order. But yeah, so can she wound it? Would normally be a 6, but she got a strength of 1 from the founding stone because it's sharp and pointy. Needs a 5. Didn't do it. Failure. The lion jumps back. And that was turn 1. So all 4 of the survivors have acted. The lion acted. Esmeralda is now the monster controller, and it's the monster's turn. So we'll draw the next AI card. Size up. Pick a target. Random threat in field of view. So it's random between these 2. So there you go. We'll go 1 to 5. It's Myth. It's not. So he's still picking on poor Vola there. Intimidate target. The monster stares down its prey. Turn to face the target and roll a d10. On a result of a 4 or more, the target suffers 1 brain damage per monster level and is knocked down. Yeah, so she's knocked down, which basically means she misses a turn. And she suffered a brain damage, didn't she? So, but she already has a brain damage. So let me check on what happens to her. Right, so Vola has taken another point of brain trauma or brain damage. And she doesn't have a box to fill in, and she doesn't have any insanity to soak it, which means she gets to roll on the brain trauma table. Ooh. Which there may be a summary chart somewhere, but as best I can tell, the only copy I've found so far is in the book. Insanity is armor for your brain. If the survivor's brain has no remaining insanity and the brain injury level is already filled, further damage to the brain causes a roll on the brain trauma table. Like damage to other hit locations, rolling on the brain trauma table expends any remaining brain damage. So if she'd taken 30 points of brain damage there, it's enough to tip her over. It's still just 1 roll. Survivors may gain disorders. These are found in the disorder deck. Draw 1 at random and apply blah blah blah. So we need to roll on the table and see what happens. And I believe it's a D10. The table looks like it goes up to 13, maybe higher. Yeah, it goes up to 13. But I'm guessing you can get modifiers to it. So we'll stick with just a D10 for now. 4. Flee. You're knocked down and suffer knockback equal to your movement towards the closest board edge. Gain D5 insanity. So she's knocked back and runs as far away as she can get. And then she gains half that. 2 points of insanity. She's got a couple of screws loose. But that's what we do with trauma. That's all the lion was doing this turn. That could have been a lot worse, in my opinion. Back to the surviving players. We'll go with Meninga again. He's going to move 1 over and hit the lion again. Speed of 2, 2 attacks. Hitting on 7s normally. He's got advantage because he's in its blind spot. Hits on a 6. That would be a 6 and a 7. 2 hits. First hit. Beast's Elbow. Full movement. If we get a fail, we'll see what happens. But we'll try that one first. Normally needs a 6, but he's got a strength of 1, so he needs a 5. It's a 9. That'll do it. So, yeah. We've wounded that one. We take the top AI card. Remove that to the deck. And now he's got his second attack. Draw another hit location. The Beast's Scapular Deltoid. Let's roll again. Again, needing a 5. Success! No criticals. Take the top AI card. Move it to the wound track. Move the hit location to there. And that's Meninga done. Let's go with Vola. She's going to sneak in around into its other blind spot and attack as well. 2 hits, or two attacks, hitting on 6s. An 8 and a 9. 2 more hits. God, these guys really want to survive. The Beast's Maw. Not quite sure how you hit it in the face from back there, but we'll see. Again, normally toughness of 6, needs 6 or more. It's got +1 strength, needs a 5. I'm going to stop explaining that. It's a fail. The monster roars triumphantly. Roll a D10. On a 4 or more, which I've rolled, the attacker suffers 1 brain damage per monster level and is knocked down. So, poor Esmeralda has also been shouted at. And because she's knocked down, she's lost the rest of her attacks. So, there's no space back here where the lion's blind spot is. So we'll let Myth be the hero and jump in 1 across, 1 up to protect Vola, who's lying on the floor, rocking and cowering and so forth. 2 attacks, hitting on 7s because he doesn't have advantage. 1 misses, 1 hits with a lantern. Hit location. The Beast's Femur. The blow lands on the monster's leg. No failure results, but there is a critical if we can get it. There is not. Nothing happens. Back to the monster's turn. These guys will stand up at the end of the next monster's turn. So, once this monster's gone, they'll stand up and then they can act as normal. But it's the end of the turn, so Vola is now the monster controller. Not that it makes a huge difference at this point. So, AI card for the monster's 3rd turn. Chomp. Pick a target. Closest threat facing in range. Well, that's going to be dear Mithrax here. Right up front. Move and attack. With a speed of 1. So, only 1 attack this turn. Hitting on a 2. But always hit the target's head location, which is bad. So it might be a case of, because your head can only take one hit and you have no armor. So if this hits, bad things are coming. Myth is riding the luck train today. Monster misses. It's his turn over. Vola and Esmeralda stand back up. And we're back to the survivor's turn. Well, let's let Myth get some payback. Do attacks. Both missed. Not quite the payback, but maybe he was being kind to the lion because the lion decided not to bite his head off. Who can know? Let's let Esmeralda at the back here. After being knocked down, she's hopped back up. She's going to have a couple more attacks. And she's also obviously still stunned from the attack. Maybe we've worn these dice out. Let's put those across. Let's get a couple of new ones. Meninga, do your thing. Hitting on 6s. One miss. We're getting there. We got one. Hit location. The beast's paw. If we fail, bad things happen. So let's see if we can wound it. Normally a 6 plus 1 strength for the sharpness of the founding stone. So we will hit on 5s. Failed. Failed action. Perform a basic attack, which comes back to this card. Target the attacker. So Meninga's going to get hit for 2 attacks, hitting on a 2+. 1 misses, 1 hits, and he gets hit in the head. He has no armor, so he's going to take a heavy injury. And when you fill out the heavy injuries, some of each of the boxes or each of the locations, you've got a light injury, which has no outline, and you've got a heavy injury, which is bold. When you take a hit to the heavy injury, you're knocked down. Oh, Meninga. Things are not going well for you. So Myth's gone, Meninga's gone. Esmeralda's gone, so it's Vola's turn, so we need to get her back into the fight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All she can do for now. End of the turn. Meninga's now in control. And the lion gets to go again. The last AI card in the deck. A terrifying roar. Pick a target. All non-death survivors. So that's everybody. Intimidate all targets. Roll a d10 per target. If the result is a 2 or more, 2+, and is higher than the target's courage, target will suffer 1 brain damage per monster level and is knocked back 6. I have no idea what courage is, so I'm going to pause the video and see if I can find out. Courage is this box here, and it looks like it's something that can level up and essentially allows you to start ignoring things like shouting, screaming, roaring lions. But your default or your starting characters all have a value of nada, zip, nothing. So we need to roll a d10 for each target, which is each player. On a result of 2 or more, they on a result of 2 or more, if that result is higher than their courage, which will be 0, so 2 or more, the target will suffer 1 brain damage per monster level. Monster level is 1. So Mithrax takes a point of damage. So a bit of trauma for him, and he's knocked back 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can't go any further. Esmeralda also does. She's already brain damaged, so she has to roll on that delightful trauma table, as well as being knocked back 6. So Esmeralda is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And let's roll for her trauma. 4. Flee. You're knocked down and suffer knockback equal to your movement towards the closest board edge and gain D5 insanity. So she will gain 2 points of insanity. And then she'll move back that last space and get knocked over. Vola. Also takes a point, but she's slightly insane now. So her insanity is reduced to 1. So she's already gone over the shock of being shouted at by a lion. Lion shouting at you is nothing when a lion's already eyeballed you and tried to rip your head off. And then Meninga also takes his point of brain damage and he'll run away, but he can't. So he's already knocked down, can't go anywhere, can't run away. So he's there. And we then perform carrying on down through the cards. So we've picked a target, we've intimidated all the targets. Perform a basic action, target the furthest survivor in range, which would be Myth here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Doesn't need to go 6. And can attack again. 2 attacks using the basic action, hitting on 2s. Both hit. 2 locations. That would be the waist and the arm. So Myth, he's lost his point of armor in the waist and he's taken a hit to the arm. Could be worse. That's the end of the monster. Back to the survivors. And I think it's now Meninga's turn. Except they're all knocked out. Nothing's happening there. Vola, who was slightly insane, can go 1, 2, 3, 4. And can sneak up and hit the lion from behind. The advantages of being a patient at the loony bin. Hits on a lantern, misses on a 5 because she needed a 6. So it's 1 more hit location. The beast's tail makes sense. Reflex. Move the monster forward in a straight line. Cancel all hits now out of range. Any survivors past offer, suffer, grab. So basically she's going to hit it in the tail, and regardless of whether she wounds it or not, it will perform that action and charge forwards and slam into this guy, which will give him a point of damage. So let's see if she can wound it. She can. She needed a 6, which was actually a 5 because of the strength rating of the Founding Stone. So we need to take one of the AI deck cards out of the deck, but there are none left. So we take the 4 that are left, and we shuffle them. Take the top one. Made a new deck, and that goes over to the wound deck. And this line's only got 3 left, so we're getting there. Grinding him down. But yeah, so then he'll charge forward. It says, place the target knocked down in front of the monster. Target suffers 1 damage per monster level. So Meninga's slammed up against the wall, and he takes a point of damage in the chest. He's got no armor, but at least he's not wounded there, I don't think. No, so 1 in the body, another light wound for him. And that's everybody's turn, because Meninga can't go. Myth can't go, because he's just been knocked down. Meninga and Vola were already knocked down, so they're done. So we're back to the monster. Top AI deck. Size up. Random target in his field of view, or random threat in field of view. Nobody is a threat in his field of view because he's knocked down. So we move on to no target, which is the sniff. He's on the back of the basic action. The white lion sniffs the air and ends its turn. Until the end of the next round, all survivors are now threats, despite any effects that say otherwise. When a level 3+ lion performs sniff, it gains an accuracy token. So he's not 3+, doesn't gain anything. It ends his turn, but basically everybody would be a threat if there's anything that says he attacks threats. That's the end of his turn. So Meninga will stand up. And Vola over at the back is just here. Will also stand up. And he was knocked down in the player's turn, so Meninga will also stand up. Sorry, Myth will also stand up. That's another hit location. Yeah. That goes to the AI deck. That's probably the best card we could leave in there, because essentially it just ends his turn. Right, back to the players. Myth, what are you going to do, Myth? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Meninga can get back there, so I think Myth is just going to wait and see what happens with these two. So we'll bring Meninga up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And he's going to hit the lion in the backside. And a double miss. He's obviously tired from being knocked down. That's his turn. Vola going to hit in the back with advantage, which is good because she needed a 6 to hit. So we've got 1 hit location. The soft belly. A debilitating blow to the soft belly. There are no critical effect or no attacks back. So can she wound it? Normally needing a 6. She needs a 5. She cannot. Myth, come on, Myth, do something. This has not been a good turn for the survivors. He's got 1 hit. Hit location. The fleshy gut, which has a failure option, so let's not fail. He has succeeded. So had there been a failure, the lion would have swatted back and hit him again for 2, but it didn't. So we'll discard one of these last 2 AI cards. So there's 1 in the deck and there's 1 in the discard. So this lion is looking pretty kippered. And that's Myth's entire turn, although we can move. So let's move him around there. So if it charges him, it just pushes him back. It doesn't. Yeah, we'll come around this way. That way, if it charges off and pushes him back, it's not going to slam him into the wall again. And then Esmeralda is just going to run up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares, trying to get back into the action. Back to our friend the lion. Final AI deck, or AI card. It's the good old claw. So closest threat in range. Can't see anything in front. Closest threat in its field of view, which is completely around. So let's have... Can't go for Esmeralda, so we'll go for Meninga, because he hasn't taken many hits except for 1 to the head. So we'll go for Meninga. He can take it. So a claw attack has 2 attacks, hitting on a 2. 1 misses. 1 hits. Hit location. The foot. He can take a hit to the foot. Just cross off 1 wound in the foot. And that's the lion done. So that's the claw. We've done the move and attack. Back to the player's turn. Let's bring Myth back here, so he can hit it in the rear with advantage. Because of advantage, both hit. First hit is the beast's head. You clip the tense muscles of... Oh, sorry, the beast's heel. Makes more sense. He's back there. Can he wound it? He can! Last 2 AI cards. One of these is good, one of these is bad. I don't remember which was which. So we'll discard that one. But it wasn't critical, but it does hit. And the second hit The straining neck, you strike at the beast's throat. Again, no negative effects. He's obviously jumped on its back and is stabbing it in. Successfully stabbing it, which gets rid of its last AI card. That doesn't kill it. Killing it would be when we have to discard one and there are none to discard, which may happen because we've still got 2 more attacks here. Let's let Vola have a go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, Meninga can get around, so we'll do that if we need to. But yeah, we'll let Vola go first. She hit with 1. Draw the hit location. The fuzzy groin. You hit the monster right in the ding-dong. She failed to wound. Lucky Mr. Lion. And then she's going to fall back. 2, 3, 4, 5. And Meninga's going to come 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, attack it from behind where it can't see. 1 miss, 1 hit. Draw a hit location. The beast flanks. Obviously he's running around, he stabbed it. If he wounds it, it will get to attack back, but if he wounds it, it'll die. So that won't really matter. He has not wounded it. So we'll not have to find out in this episode what priority target means. And run her up to there. No point running any further, she'll just get exposed. Back to the lion's turn. We can't draw an AI card. If you've got no cards in the AI deck and none in the discard pile to shuffle and put back into the deck, you perform the basic action. So you will choose the closest threat in its field of view, which is the 2 ladies in front. Oh, and Vola should be the character. Vola's going to choose herself as the target, which means she gets +1 insanity, which takes her back up to 2. Pardon me. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we'll attack Vola. 2 attacks because of the speed of 2, hitting on 2 or more, doing a point of damage each. Both hit. 1 in the waist, 1 in the arm. Let's just check. She has no armor in either, so that's going to be a heavy in the waist and a heavy in the arm, which knocks her down. And that's the beast's turn. I'll let Esmeralda come running round. No, she won't. She'll stay there. She'll attack from where she is. Hitting on 7s. Not today. Let's bring Meninga up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hitting on 6s because of the blind spot. 1 miss, 1 hit. And it is the beast's ribs. Can he wound it? He cannot. Come on, Myth. Sorry, come on, Meninga. That was a waste of time. Come on, Myth, because you've got to do the job now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can you hit? You need 6s. You can't. You can't. This is kind of pathetic, I have to say. So, that's the end of their turn. Meninga will be the controller next turn. The monster still has no AI cards. Back to basic attacks. The only person it can see that's a threat would be either of these 2. So, we'll go for Esmeralda. 2 attacks. Both hit. 2 locations. 1 in the hands, 1 in the feet. So Esmeralda has no damage in the hands, she's fine there, and no damage in the feet, she's fine there as well. So she doesn't even get knocked over by it. End of the monster's turn. She can stand back up. And once again, it's the player's turn. Let's see if Meninga can finish it. He cannot. Let's see if Myth can finish it. He got one hit. It's a good hit. Hit location. The beast's knee. You hit the white lion's sturdy kneecap. How sturdy is it? Not sturdy enough. It takes a wound. We can't take a card out of there. We can't take a card out of there. The lion's dead. And that is the end of the showdown. And everybody survived. With some minor quibbles. But everybody's alive. So I'm going to tidy this all up. Put away what we don't need. And in the next video we'll be looking at what happens in the campaign part of the game after the specific showdown. Hopefully you've enjoyed watching this one. Hopefully it's explained how the rules work. It demonstrated how things work. Yes, it's a very simple scenario because you've only got one set of weapons and the lion's attacks are very basic. Things do get more complicated and you do have more options when you start picking up skills and stats. You get stat increases that mean you're more likely to hit or more likely to wound. You're less likely to hit, you're more likely to get criticals, you get extra attacks. You'll have different weapons and armor that will give you special rules and stuff. So basic attacks, basic stats, basic rules. But you understand how the system works. So hopefully that was good for you. If it was, give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. And we'll see you in the next video to see how life progresses for Myth, Esmeralda, Vola and Meninga. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Bye bye.